the forehand and the backhand. For that matter, the forehand, the backhand, the serve. We're going to get into what they really are in this video and what you want to do. For those of you watching who want to develop specifically their children, or you're a coach out there and you're working with kids, probably more specifically if you're a parent. I don't know, getting off topic here, but specifically for you guys, forehand, backhand, serve is a throw. And I want to get into that, and I want to get into the other element, which I'm going to call off the top of my head the two elements that you need to be a really good tennis player, or at least to get on the road of being a really good tennis player. And the first one is you should be able to throw. You want to be able to throw really well. This is fundamental. The forehand is a throw, the backhand is a throw, and the serve is a throw. Now, do you need to have a great throw to play tennis? Absolutely not. If you want to play modern, high performance, whatever you want to call it, what you see on TV, you need to be able to throw. And getting into more of the details here. This is why. Hopefully I'll be able to put up some videos here on the screen. But when you see players do this, and you hear things like racket, head above the handle, etc. Here's my racket. That's because that's the throwing position. If you're going to throw and you're holding the racket and you were going to throw, forget about this arm for now. You're going to go like this, forehand. Then you might think, what about them guys going like this? Well, go like this. Same thing. You're in a throwing position. You're going to throw. You can throw sidearm. You can throw a strong sidearm from there. You can throw overhand from here. These are the positions you want to. Essentially, this doesn't really matter. This right here doesn't really matter. But this matters. This part right here, because you can't throw. If you have your racket and you're going back like this, the throw isn't going to be as strong. You see that? But when you get here, you get this shoulder back any way you want. That's the throwing position. And that's what you learn when you learn how to throw. Now, as a kid learning tennis, or really anybody, if you can throw, if you've mastered that movement, it's in your brain. You've got it in your brain. You don't have to think about it. You do it automatically. That's what learning is. We're talking about learning how to throw. It's not something, well, you mimic it. This is where we get into people trying to learn tennis. They're trying to mimic a throw. They haven't learned how to throw. Learning how to throw is someone throws you a ball, you catch it, and you automatically go into the motion without thinking about it. That's true. That's having been learned. That's already learned. So there's that. Anybody who, as a coach, anyone who comes to me that already has that down and learned, I can teach them tennis, high performance, etc. I know they're going to be a great tennis player. I know they're going to get there easily. And I'm going to get into the second part of that. Okay. The second part is, and I've said this before, I have said all this before, is catching and tracking the ball. That's the second part. Now, of course, there's maybe other things we can get into, like agility and stuff like that. But all of that comes when you can do this, when you can throw and when you can track the ball. Because when you're playing tennis and you're doing that, you're gonna have to move. You're gonna have to learn to be agile. It's gonna all come together. So the two main things are gonna be having this ability to throw and tracking the ball. Now, you don't really need to do them together. So this is where we get into, like I said, if I have a person who already knows how to throw, I don't really care how they hit the ball. I do not care how they hit the ball, because they need to learn how to track the ball. So let's say I'm a coach or I'm a parent, and I can hit the ball like a pro, all multiple different ways, whatever, spins, etc. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to separately teach my kid how to throw, at one point. We teach them how to throw, and then we're going to come and play tennis for we're going to play a lot of tennis, and all I'm going to do is hit the ball at them. See, the thing about catching and throwing is you can't when I say catching is the other part, it's not just throwing and catching a ball now. Now we have to catch a ball that's hit off of a racket, which is much different than a ball that is thrown. And this is why I always thought about soccer. Like, why is soccer so good? Everyone thinks soccer's so good for tennis because of the running and the agility. But what about the fact that when kids when people are kicking that soccer ball, they can kick with your foot. You can make that ball move more dynamically usually than what you can do with a throw. Unless you're doing all kinds of like sidearms and stuff like that. Not that you can't, but just generally speaking, like in a game versus like playing baseball, the throws are, for the most part, pretty straight up. So I always thought that was interesting, thinking about that as my years have gone on. But back to this catching thing. So I'm going to play tennis with this person, and I'm going to hit them top spins gradually, depending on what they can handle. I'm going to hit them slices, all different speeds, all different angles, I'm going to make them move all kinds of different ways. And I really don't care how they hit the ball. In fact, if they can just block the ball back in the court, that's great. That's telling me they're learning how to track the ball. Because that's what I need them to do. I need them to keep the ball in the court so that I can hit all these different things. And a lot of people, what they try to do is they try to integrate everything at the same time. And that's actually not necessarily a bad thing, but there's I want to say that you don't want to do that, but if the person doesn't already know how, if the person is trying to track the ball, it often can be difficult to try and do both things, to integrate both things. And I'm saying that my preference is to learn how to throw on the side before you even play tennis at all. That would be ideal. And then play tennis this way that I'm describing and let the player hit any way they want for a long time. It's not going to mess them up. And then once they've went through that process, now bring it back. And then maybe we start to form the technique because they already know how to throw. They already can track the ball. See, oftentimes in tennis, when you're trying to teach this technique, right? Let's just say you're trying to teach this technique. The player might know how to throw, but the tracking of all these different balls throws them off. And that's why you see this tennis, it's kind of like sketchy and it's not all put together. But when you have a player that already knows how to throw, and it's not just they know how to throw, they if you might think they're going to forget that they throw a lot, or they keep that process going. And then they already know how to track the ball. They already know how to track the ball at all these different speeds and angles, etc. And now when I'm teaching them the technique, it's so simple to learn. It's so simple to put it all together. And this, I just laid out for you, that's the process. It's that simple. And how many people are not even going to watch this video, let alone understand it, even though it's that simple, and go and watch all this junk? Because the next step is to play a lot of matches, which you already would have been doing to begin with. And then you can work in the fine details. And what people are trying to do, they're trying to work in these fine details before they do these things. I mean, there's so many people out there that don't, you could say that maybe they don't know how to throw. I'll give you an example. A lot of high school boys can throw. They already know how to throw. And of course they want to compete, they want to get in the game, and they try to integrate these things. And what they don't have the guy on the other side hitting them the balls that they need consistently. And that's why it comes back to, I always say it takes, someone like that. High school boys generally, if they play consistently and they know how to throw, decent athletes somewhere between the ages of 12 and 18, 14 and 18, they play regularly. By the time they're 18, they're going to be pretty good. But a lot of them, I knew this one kid I met recently was talking about he's number 2 on his team. He's only been playing for 2 months. I know that he's not, lack of a better term, integrated. He's not. But he's probably pretty good, and he thinks he's pretty good. But from my standpoint, or someone watching on there, say this kid, he's gonna he's still gonna need to go through that process, that 4-year consistent tennis. I don't care how much I don't care how much pickleball he's played, So, and he can do it if it's consistent, and he'll learn how to track the ball if he gets enough variety and plays enough good solid players, which is another. Usually you play someone who's really good. Like I said, if I'm the coach or the parent and I have all this experience, I can give them all of that experience by me being on the other side of the net. I have up to a very high level of variety and confidence before they even have to go play somebody else. Even though I don't think that's the whole story, but that can do a lot. Which reminds me of, say, a Serena and Venus Williams, because I think that's what they did, essentially, to a certain degree. So I'm getting tired, so this video is going to end. Hope you enjoy this. Share it with your friends if you got someone out there that wants to know. You think this is good stuff? This will help them. I just saw a video on TikTok of an ex-D1 player getting this wrong with her child. This is very prevalent. It's going to continue to be prevalent. So, thanks for watching, and have a great day.